Hi, everyone. Mike White here. Welcome to this week's blog post. The interesting week has come and gone. I think it's not surprising to some, but to many, that even though the Fed has lowered the overnight lending rate by 50 basis points, we continue to see mortgage rates pushing toward the higher side, at least for the time being. And we have been on this downward trend, and I think that trend will continue. And what leads me to believe that this is just a blip on the radar is the fact that if we're looking at pricing, it seems like we can do better or equivalent to our current 30-day pricing, looking at the 45 and 60-day fields. And so I think that's important, that when we're looking at these things, and these are the things you have to pay attention to when you're looking at the markets. And while there's no guarantee, it is kind of a good insight as to what the markets are thinking is based upon where your pricing shows up. And so it's signaling that the markets are convinced that we're going to see lower rates into the future. And I agree with that. It's going to be sooner rather than later. And this is just a blip on the radar while the market is settling, because I think a lot of people are trying to figure out what to do with the money. It's not necessarily heading towards mortgage arena just yet, but I think it will be, because once mortgage rates start to go lower consistently, more and more people are going to have an appetite to capture the rate before it does go lower from an investment standpoint, and then put pressure on the bond market, and it will drive prices lower, which again will, will drive rates lower as prices go higher, and that'll be beneficial. So I think this is just the calm before the storm, and I think that for a lot of reasons. Refinances are still pretty solid. Purchase business is still pretty solid, and I think that the allure of the 5% rate is going to be a little bit of magic. And I think that magic, psychological as it may be, is going to be very real. And the key here is to understand the emotion of rates and when rates move. And we all know, 5.99 is significantly better than 6%. We know that payment is only pennies or a few dollars different, but and I know, just saying 5.99, it's the old gas station mentality, right? That 9/10 of a penny, on the price per gallon. I mean, everybody knows it, but it's just something that they're used to seeing. And so we all know, as rates go lower, especially when we get to those whole numbers, you open up a whole new level of people who get excited. And one of the things that I want you to be aware of is the fact that it's not just the people that you recently did who have rates in the 6s and 7s or 8s that are going to benefit when rates dip into the 5% or lower market. While it is significant to them, you also have to look that there are three distinct groups that become available to us. And for those people in our industry, it's amazing on how many people miss it. And so we're here to share today what you can't be missing, because it truly is a calm before the storm for those people who are going to be prepared for it. And so, yes, you do need to be speaking to those people that you refinance, that you did loans for, who are carrying rates in the 6s and the 7s and the 8s, because certainly they can lower the payment. And some of you have even gone to the extent of approaching other people who may have 5% or lower rates, but have been able to make the conversation about overall monthly payment and doing a cash out refinance, even though they may have a lower rate, or the rate on the mortgage is marginal for those people who may just be in the 6s, that you can refinance. But doing that debt consolidation saves their whole monthly budget. And for those people, they're going to see even a bigger share of volume because they're going to do that. The hidden gem here, what a lot of people miss, and one of the things that I've talked about in the past, and one of the things I will continue to hop on now because I continually see loan officers failing to have that conversation, it's about the forever home strategy. Are the people that you're talking, and this can be a wide range of people, even those people in the 3% mortgage range, people who have 3% mortgages on their current house. Once we get solidly in the fives, now you're making the case, that conversation where people who wouldn't give up those 3% rates will think about giving up those 3% rates because now it's only a move to five. So if they need to debt consolidate, they'll do it, but also the strategy of their forever home. And the forever home is, are they where they're going to be? And in many cases, that's a more expensive house or potentially a less expensive house. If we're not where we're planning on being, if we're not in our forever home, doesn't it make sense now to sell our current home, get into that forever home while we can lock in the price of that house? Because we know prices on homes continues to rise. And it rises at a clip that is very unsustainable for people to manage. No matter how low interest rates go, the amount of money that it's going to take to buy the house as it runs away from us becomes more and more expensive. So think about that. Can we talk to these people in those homes right now about whether they're in their forever home? And if debt consolidation is not something that they'll gravitate toward emotionally, from giving up their 3% rate for a 5% rate, maybe the emotional draw of their forever home and locking in that price now and potentially refinancing it next year or down the road when rates go even lower. And I know many of you, are in the business of having those conversations with people to show them, where the market is, where the market's going. And God only knows, we just had the first of what will be a number of Fed moves to the lower to even get to neutral. And so we can consistently look at the markets and say, yeah, we're going to make solid footing in the 5% range. How much further lower mortgage rates goes, it's not, it's an unknown right now. But if we can lock it in right now and we can get them into their forever home, the one thing we do know, that in the months and years to come, it's much more likely that the house is going to be significantly more expensive a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, than it would be to buy that house now and worry about the monthly payment on, optimizing the interest rate on that loan down the road. And you can even combine some debt consolidation into that, even if they have to buy that forever home and their monthly mortgage payment may have to go higher. If we eliminate some of the debt in the process, they could make their total monthly payments on the new house be less than the total monthly payments of their old house. So as always, remember the three areas, not just one. There's not just one area of refinance activity or conversations to have with your database about what they're doing. Yes, we can refinance to a lower rate for people who have rates in the 6s, 7s, and 8s. Yes, we can do, refinance and do cash out to lower their combined payments between their mortgage payment and their other outstanding liabilities. But you've got to leave into the mix the forever home strategy. And if you're not sure about how to have that conversation or what some of these other success strategies are that I talk about here, it's just an email away. It's mike@imtcoaching.com. I'd love to talk to you about it. Remember, October is business planning month. We're looking forward to speaking to many of you around the country about finishing 2024 strong and beginning 2025 with a really good head of steam into what may be one of the best years we've seen in a long time. As always, It's Mike at imtcoaching.com, and we'll talk to you again next week. Take care.